Double R Flo-Town. We've got our first repeat guest because he's the man and he's making stuff happen. Brother Brad, thank you for coming back, dude.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
I think you kind of reached out and said you have some cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah. We're making some headway on a lot of critical projects at the airport.
Awesome.
Just to give you an idea, it came to our attention that about 1970s, 80s, the rail line that used to go to Poston, South Carolina, if you guys know where that is, I don't, but I looked it up.
Yeah.
Never heard of Poston.
So the line comes off the main spur right across from the airport and went directly along the western portion of our property line.
Because it goes over the road, right?
Yep, that's that overpass that goes over by Ag Supply.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we found the deeds to that. It's deeded to the airport. And so we had a couple contractors come out and look into what it would cost to rehab that. And so
I'm sure it's very inexpensive.
Well, in all reality, you know, if you look, that overpass was built in 1928. I think it had some work done in the 70s, and then it kind of just disappeared, right?
It's not really been in use.
It hasn't been in use. So a company came out that has done a lot of work in South Carolina with rail bridges and things, and they said, dude, it's in really good condition.
Awesome.
And they said, so you're only paying $2 to $4 million
instead
of 25 to 30.
Okay.
And so now they're starting geotechnical and all that, all their engineering jazz on, you know, what it's actually going to take to rehab that overpass.
That is
so
big.
What does having rail on the backside of the airport, what does that really do for us?
So there's a lot of things. If you look, you know, take Greenville, Spartanburg, and I always talk about them because really that airport did so much for Greenville and Spartanburg, right?
Yeah.
They're blowing up right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so their rail line goes up, it's about 1.5 miles, 1.3 miles off of their airport. Ours is directly on our airport. So what does that mean? Well, you cut out freight forwarders, right? You have direct rail to plane, plane to rail access. So you could essentially ship something into Charleston Port, bring it to Florence, load it on a plane, and get it out.
We're coming for you, Greenville. We're coming for you.
We're trying, just trying to emulate, right? Friendly competition. But the other part of that is, you know, you listen to Charleston, you hear about the traffic, right? The bridge traffic.
Yeah.
So even if you wanted to take that up by rail, bring it to flow and get it to trucks, what do we have right outside of Florence? Direct access to two interstates.
Yeah.
Right.
95
North, south,
and 20.
East, west.
I would think Charleston would like that.
This is what ticks. We should have been Greenville, Spartanburg, but
Should
we
have.
had defunct leadership.
Yes.
I mean, it's pathetic. The leadership we had.
Yes.
That we did not capitalize on that before.
Like you said earlier, you're dealing with 20 years of trying to get
status
back up,
quo.
be probably below status quo.
Probably. Yeah.
You're being nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying.
But we're ramping up now, dude.
And here's the thing is, you have all this, right? So we get the foreign trade zone, which we talked about a little earlier, right?
Yeah.
So every other, you know, county besides the Pee Dee has a foreign trade zone.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because that's super interesting.
So if you look at the foreign trade zone map, Charleston Port Authority has, I'm gonna butcher this, foreign trade zone 38 and 24, which is Charleston and Greenville.
Yeah, you see that coming in. You're like, foreign trade zone.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah. And then Columbia has their own foreign trade zone that has, we'll just say 12 counties.
Okay.
Right? Well, when the enabling legislation came out, Columbia had verbiage in there that they could be the grantee of their own foreign trade zone. So that means the companies in that area can just apply for that foreign trade zone through Columbia Airport, right? Mm-hmm. And so we did a deep dive and figured out how can we do that, right? And so we're in that process. We are approved to be a UFF, which is a user fee facility, which means we will have Customs and Border Patrol at the airport full time, 40 hours a week, which technically makes us an international airport. but don't tell my marketing director that, because if he has to change everything to international, he'll kill me. But
Hey, I think it might
it's
be
coming,
worth it.
baby.
yeah. But so that does quite a few things for us. One, we could do international flights. Now, will we ever? I don't know. But what I
be
think
nice. That'd be
what
cool.
I think is, how many people would take a charter flight to the Bahamas or to St. Martin for the weekend?
Heck yeah.
Yes,
If
sir.
you could get on-demand charter service,
Sign
right?
me up.
Because you don't have to stop at Charleston, to go through customs anymore. It's right there. So you could literally go to the airport, 15, 20-minute drive, go through
on-
customs, hop on a plane, be in the
Think
Bahamas.
about that
in
billboard on Interstate, like showing flying to the Bahamas from Flo.
Right.
Robert,
that'll-
I'm gonna fly on your plane. You're gonna fly me wherever I
I would
want
like
to
to
go.
start flying
Right.
private.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's the whole point of being wealthy, is to fly private.
Yeah, that's the only reason you
It's
do
the
it.
only reason. And then also the other part of that is, then Customs and Border Patrol being on the airport, they can inspect international cargo.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
So now that's the whole point, is if businesses want to come to Florence and they need airport access or direct rail access, we now have that. And so now we have direct rail access with plane, right? With runways on the airport. We have a foreign trade zone. We have an inland port in Dillon.
Yeah.
And we have access to 2 major interstates.
You're about to fix the traffic problem in Charleston. It's insane to me when I'm driving around Charleston and I see these big trucks going in. It's like, this is insane.
And so I found out too, is Charlotte did the same thing. So Charlotte, Norfolk Southern used to go directly downtown. So all the trucks would have to try to get out of downtown Charlotte.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So
It's
what
ridiculous.
happened is Charlotte Airport and Norfolk Southern partnered up and built the train track to Charlotte International Airport, which now, if you look at a map at Charleston or at Charlotte, there's probably 200-300 shipping containers sitting on airport property.
Wow.
They are basically their own inland port.
Wow.
Fascinating.
That
And
is
so,
crazy.
and there's one stoplight, and then where are they at? An interstate, right? Instead of trying to fight the traffic to get out of downtown.
And that's your vision.
And that's my vision.
And
right?
so you and our current government leaders, I mean, we've got some good guys now who are working on this with you to
Yes.
really help recognize the strategic spot that Florence sits to boost the economic power that
Yes.
we have at our fingertips.
And that's my point, is don't try to be something you're not.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know we'll never be a hub for Delta or United.
Yeah.
Right. Nor do we really want to be. Do we want, 3 million people living in Florence?
Yes.
But we want a very convenient airport.
Yeah.
Right. So if we had, Chicago, D.C., Atlanta, Orlando, Charlotte, we're good. Right.
Yes.
That's perfect, because then you can still get in the airport, get on your flight in 45 minutes and call it a day. What we can do, and what I'm trying to get to the community and the Pee Dee region, is we can be this economic engine, right? We can have, MROs. Like, I think I read an article the other day, SkyWest built a maintenance facility in Salina, Kansas, right? We could do that same thing, right? Because now we have rail access, we're getting longer runways. So we can start being more business incentivizing than airline incentivizing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's going to bring the airlines to us. And you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
the more people that are here, you got to think all these businesses that come in the airport are good paying jobs. It's the people you want living in your community, right?
Yeah.
And they're using local businesses. They're using local restaurants and hotels and all that good stuff.
Definitely.
Right? They're paying property taxes. They're putting money back into the community. That's what we need.
You said MRO. What's an MRO?
A maintenance. Oh God.
Sorry.
A maintenance repair station.
Operation.
Yeah, operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have all these actors. So
Yeah.
there's SASO, which is like specialized aviation facility, and
The only one we know is FLO.
yeah.
That's the only one.
that's the only one that matters.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's right.
But getting those on the airport, again, you get these good paying jobs, you bring these people in. Luckily, Greg Robinson has him and his team.
Oh yeah.
We just sat down yesterday and did a complete master plan of the airport about what it could look like in the next 10 years.
Nice.
And so we're going to start getting that out there so people can visualize. Wait a minute, we got this asset here. Why aren't we utilizing it? You know?
that vision of what the airport can look like, can you give us any sneak peeks as to what that is?
Yeah. So we basically, I put together what we call like a CIP plan, which is a capital improvement plan, right? So these are projects that we take to our ADO in Atlanta, which is Airport District Office. And we say, hey, this is what we foresee in the future, right? And they sign off on that and say, yep, we see this, we see this. And so I took that and we're basically went to Greg and I said, hey, this is what I'm envisioning. Me and Greg and his team went back and forth and really got it on a visual scale is, okay, with rail, with an extended runway, with a foreign trade zone, with warehousing and all these things here,
Do we have the money in place to start executing this? I heard you took a little trip to Washington.
Yes, I did.
What was that, a month ago or something?
Yeah, it was.
How'd that go?
It went well. I think the first thing was, of course, we're asking for a new terminal. Our terminal was built in 1993. It's very hard to compete for air service when, airports are building 40-foot, flowing waterfalls and everything now is about customer experience at airports. There's creeks running through airports at this point. And we're just happy to have, a micro market to where people can buy drinks and chips.
I need a hot pocket.
Yeah, or a hot pocket or something.
Throw it in the microwave.
So really, we wanted to hit on that first and foremost. Because the other aspect of this, and this is why I push this so hard, is you have to support the airport. Because, so say there's a $30 million project and the FAA says, you know what, we're going to give you 90% of that project, right? We still got to have those matching funds. And so where the majority of our revenue comes from? Airlines, parking. For every ticket people buy, we get $4.50 called a passenger facility charge. We get landing fees. We get ticket, office rent. We get gate space rent. All these things.
That's how it builds.
And that's how our revenue builds. So we want air service just as bad as the community. It's just no one since Delta left in 2011 has really tried to bring another airline.
How do we get that initial cash infusion to get this baby rolling?
So right now luckily we're applying for a lot of grants, a lot of things that can help us move forward. The government's the government. We're waiting to hear back on some of those. We've got a grant in for the rail. We got a grant in for the terminal, which we're really excited about. We think that we're going to get into that airport terminal program is what it's called.
Cool.
So it's dedicated funds specifically for terminals.
Nice.
And so we could be starting construction on a new terminal beginning next year.
Is there such a world where you have government funding and government grants, you have end user revenue from buying tickets and parking and things, and then a third bucket from private business and private individuals who see the vision and say, I'm going to write a $5 million check for the airport. Is that possible? Yeah,
well, and I tell you, there's another aspect to that too, is the state, right? So we have South Carolina Aeronautics Commission. And I hate to preach this, but I'm still a little hurt. So last year, the state received $80 million, SCAC, right?
From that commission.
From the SCAC goes out every year, and they've been asking for $100 million to put towards the commercial service airports.
Okay.
Right?
For South Carolina.
For South Carolina. And then they dispersed those funds.
And we got
zero.
Zero.
Out of $80 million, the largest funding the state has ever received.
We got zero.
And we got zero.
That's a lack of vision.
Well, and a lot of that is on us too for not paying attention. And so we got, I reached out to our local delegation And whenever I brought it, I said, hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah.
So they started looking into it. We're trying to remediate that this year.
Yeah. We
So
know now.
that's gonna there will be another bucket of money.
So now this year, they have asked for another 100 million. Last I heard, that's about at 60 or 70.
Okay.
We don't know what that's going to be, of course, until like June or July.
But we're ready. We're ready now.
But now our local delegation is keeping an eye very closely on
Good.
that, and that just goes to show you that the airport has been that overlooked, right? That
Yeah.
we weren't even in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And so now that we got all these people with eyes on the airport, I think you're going to see a lot more, hopefully, a lot more funding coming through so we can do some of these much needed projects.
Awesome. Man, that's
One
good.
of the things you said last time you were on the podcast, and again, congrats on being the first repeat guest. I mean, you're famous just because of that, Brad.
We got you a present. We got you a present.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
We can only right now fly to Charlotte.
Yep.
And no one in Florence flies to Charlotte because they're going to Charlotte. We can drive there if we want to spend a couple of days in Charlotte.
Right.
But so if we could get a flight to Nashville or DC or Orlando, somewhere that
Yep.
you actually want to go to
Right.
and stay,
Yep.
that would be a game changer for the residents and the other counties around that really service the airport. How feasible is that going to be?
So I can't give up too much information, but we have been in discussion with SkyWest
Okay.
under the United blanket
Okay.
because SkyWest can fly for United, Delta, and American, right?
That'd be good.
But because they have some open gate space in Dulles, which is DC,
Let's do it.
we started talking to SkyWest about getting a DC flight because it's perfect because it's about as a regional carrier, they don't like to fly more than like 600 miles,
Okay.
right? And that's even kind of a stretch. And so DC, I think, is right there. It's right between 300 and 400 miles for a trip. So we got with them. Unfortunately, our load factors aren't good enough for them to even really consider it. So what we did is we offered them what we call a minimum revenue guarantee.
Nice.
And so, for instance, if that flight, and I'm just going to make it easy on math because math is not my strong suit. So,
Yeah.
So say that flight cost $100,000 a month.
Okay.
If they make over that, great. But if they make 80, then we have a bucket of money where we pay what they lost. So we'll pay them the $20,000,
Yeah.
right? But that cannot be airport funded because otherwise you're subsidizing your own air service. So what we had to do was go out to the community, to the county, to the city, to the state and say, hey, look, we got this opportunity to have our second air
Yes.
carrier at Florence for the first time in 14 years,
Wow.
right? We need some funding. And, the one positive thing that I can strongly say about Florence is when people need you, people gather.
True.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, because we're such a small community, you reach out to one person, they'll reach out to 10, and then you're flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you need? Why do you need it? How does it work? And so the county and the city have both been very great to work with. And now the local delegation and, Philip Lowe and Jay Jordan, some of them have just been so instrumental in going to the state saying, hey, we have this opportunity. Can we get an earmark for this?
Yeah.
And so I really, now we had this pretty much hemmed up to where we were going to start contract negotiations until the Iran conflict happened. And so what happened? No one can determine what fuel prices are,
Yeah.
right? So no one wants to write a contract saying, hey, we think fuel's going to be $80 a barrel. When one week it's 110 and the next week it's 70,
Yeah.
we don't know what's going on. And so we're kind of playing that game right now. But as soon as I think that gets stable, I think we're going to be in a better position to get a contract with SkyWest.
Awesome.
And that would be the best part about it is that's a 3-year commitment
Nice.
Okay.
for a twice daily flight
Wow.
to DC.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
And we were talking in the office yesterday. I don't know if you were in the
Yeah, I was
office,
there.
Robert, but
Yeah.
Kevin is talking about going to DC.
Yeah. He's just going to drive.
And
Yeah.
he's driving, but to be able to fly there, that's where someone wants to go.
Yeah.
We went last spring break to DC, took our kids. We'd have flown if we'd have had that option.
Yep.
It's those kinds of things. We're not going to fly to Charlotte to.
But then from DC, you can go anywhere pretty easy.
Yeah, pretty easy, right? And Dulles is actually very easy airport, right?
I heard they're talking about a big upgrade to Dulles.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Trump wants to name it after.
Oh,
he wants
that's
to name
right.
it after him. But he
Of
he
course
does.
he does.
He does.
Tell him we'll name ours after him.
Yeah.
We'll
Call
Trump.
him Donald Trump International
Yeah,
Airport in
yeah.
Florence.
We'll fly direct to his big airport.
But yeah, I think, and also and I look at it as another way is people are constantly traveling to DC for lobbying purposes,
Yeah.
or like you said, for vacation. There's so much to see in DC for vacation, right? Smithsonian, all those things. Usually we see a decline in air traffic in January and February because the holidays have passed. Right. Well, what are people doing in January and February? They're already starting their uptick and going to DC and getting, starting to get that funding, starting to have those conversations. So we really think this is a route that will succeed.
That's awesome.
And that's the main thing, right? It's not like I'm going to pitch a route to, Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
Probably not going to do well in Florence. But honestly, I think Dulles is a slam dunk. I really do.
Let's
Yeah,
get
that's
that
exciting.
done.
I
Yeah.
mean, we ran in, you and I ran into each other at the gym, the morning you were heading out to DC. And I'm just so excited to hear all that's going on. I mean, it really does seem like you and the delegation, y'all really have your head around what this airport can do now.
Yes, absolutely. And the big thing too is I don't want to say it took the airport, but I think with us now being in these conversations, we found out that Florence used to take a group to DC every year, right? To go just say, hey, this is what we have going on. We're here, right? But if we're not in those conversations, then we can't be upset that we're left out.
True.
Right? I mean, if they don't know we're here, then how can you expect that they're just gonna be like, oh, we'll give Florence this.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what also this has started to where we're getting the city and county and, some of these large businesses and industries in Florence. Can we all take a trip up to DC and say, hey, we're here. This is what we have going on. This is why we're asking for funding, and start bringing some of those dollars into Florence that we've been missing out for I don't know how long.
What really got my attention, and I think a lot of people's, is I heard if we didn't get this airport growing and in shape, we could lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like it could just stay like this. It was hold on, we either grow this or potentially lose it. How
Yeah.
close were we to that?
Well, I think, American used to have 5 flights a day going out. We're down to 2.
Yeah.
That first flight does pretty well. We're about at the 70% load factor, which isn't great. But that late flight, last month, that was 38%. That means, out of 50 seats, what is that? Again, not good with math,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
50% would be 25 people. So we'll say,
Yeah.
20 people were on that flight.
We still need the community focused on flying out of Florence.
We do. And the problem is the people got burned on that late flight.
Yeah, that's what you hear all the time.
And I completely understand. When you get burned, you're like, not doing it again. I'll take a rental car and I'll just drive home. I have a business coming in today to come talk to the airport, and they flew into Charlotte, right? And how sad is that? They're potentially wanting to do business at our airport, and they're flying into Charlotte and driving down.
Yeah.
And so it just wasn't convenient for them to wait until the 5 o'clock flight to come in. And so we really need, if we're going to sit here and say that we're this convenient airport, which is what I'm preaching, because we are very convenient. We could be a lot more convenient with 2 or 3 more routes.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
It'd be so good.
You may not like this. I don't know, but the rail, the interstate system, the inland port, Dillon, all this seems to set up Florence as a phenomenal airport for commerce,
Yes.
industry.
Yep.
Because we have Columbia an hour and 15 minutes away, because we have Myrtle Beach an hour and a half away, because we have Charleston 2 hours away, because we have Charlotte 2.5 hours away. In that hub and spoke model, is there ever a reality where we will be a commercial hub? Or do we just need to focus more on the industry part of it?
Yeah. You know, I don't think we would ever be a hub.
Yeah.
I think, I think that there is a world where, again, you get DC, you get Chicago, you get Atlanta. Everybody wants Atlanta, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Atlanta's a hard sell right now, but I think as we grow, that will come organically.
Good.
But then why not get Orlando, right? It's the most visited place in America, I think, at this point. And from there, you can get on the bullet train to all down the eastern coast of Florida. And if you have Southwest, then maybe you get Nashville, right? Nashville's blowing up too, right? So I think that's more along the lines of air service,
That makes
right?
sense.
And that's perfect,
That's good.
right? Because then we're not crowded. We're not fighting people to get on a plane. We're this convenient airport. I think in reality, we focus on the commerce aspect, the economic aspect of this, because one, that can bring the business and industry we need here. We don't have tourism, so we're not going to have tourism traffic, right? Leave that to Myrtle Beach and Charleston.
Yeah.
Right? So let's focus on what we are. Again, is we're a hub for manufacturing and industry, right? Warehousing. Dare I say data centers. But I think there's a real landscape for that in Florence for all those things. And here's the other aspect of that. Myrtle Beach has one runway, right? They essentially can't ever have two, from my knowledge.
They don't have enough land.
They just don't have enough land, right? And so cargo for them is very just not
in the cards.
Not in the cards,
Yeah.
right? There's so much tourism coming in, especially during their busy season, that trying to get cargo planes in and out would just be a pain,
Yeah.
right? Nor do I even think they want it,
Right.
right? And so imagine, and then on top of that, imagine bringing cargo into the very East Coast and trying to push everything to the West.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you bring it into this centrally located area to be able to push east to Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, we can get it to Myrtle Beach.
We can get it to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Right? So my question is, Amazon built this huge distribution center in Conway, right? Would that have been here? If we would have been more situated to accommodate that,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because why try to push everything this way? Why try to fight Myrtle Beach traffic? Why not put it here and push out towards the east?
That's right.
And then you also have the north and the west and the south, right? We have this distinct, advantageous location.
Dude.
Let's take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're doing it. Well done, Brad.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
I appreciate
think you need a bonus.
Yeah, well, hey,
I'm calling for a
trying.
bonus for Brad because you're doing awesome, dude.
Thanks, man.
We talked to a lot of people in the community, and everybody's rooting for you.
Well, thank you.
Big time.
Yeah. Well, again, shout out to Florence, because if it wasn't for, the team at the airport, if it wasn't for the city and the county, the local delegation, right? And just the businesses. There are businesses in Florence that I'll take their word for it, that they always say that, hey, we try to travel flow as much as humanly possible. Right. So it's those businesses that make a difference, because to the average person flying out of Florence, right, the tickets can be costly. And until we get another airline, that's just the way it is. Without competition, right? There is no one that you have to fight against.
It's true.
And so I ask the businesses all the time, if you can fly out of Florence, put that in your travel budget, right? Try to fly out, because what we're trying to do is going to impact Florence for the next 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Man, we'll keep coming back because
Absolutely.
this is big, and I think everybody wants to stay updated.
Yep.
So thank you for coming. And anytime you got some new cool news,
I'll be sure to
we're
share it.
ready for you.
I got you. I'll share it with you guys.
Thank
for
you,
sure.
man.
Thanks
Good
for
to see
having
you.
me. Appreciate it.